Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. You're watching Indigo Tech Tutorials, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing UI kits for Ruby on Rails. I just had this idea because one of my friends and supporters of the channel just reached out to me, and he said he was working on a new app and he was using Hotwire and Flex UI. And that brought up a memory where I know that I talked to the guy who created Flex UI a couple years ago, and he was just starting it out as a small project. He was asking for some feedback and also possibly integrating with my app that I was building, which was a CSS component generator with AI for Tailwind CSS. But I never really kept going with that app after the owner of Tailwind CSS reached out to me and was basically threatening a lawsuit because of the name. So I did rename it, but after that, I don't know, I just kind of lost interest in the app and I started doing other stuff. But it's cool that this guy kept going and he built Flex UI, which seems like it's pretty accepted in the Ruby community now. And they have a whole website. I think they had this back then too, but now they have way more templates. Also, apparently it's really fast. So it's built for speed. It goes 12 times faster than all of these other libraries, which that's pretty crazy to think about. ERB templates, which a template, I guess, would just be any HTML page that you're rendering inside your Rails app. It takes 12 times longer to render those than a Flex template. Which I don't know how they did this, but that's pretty cool. So I want to check out the components and see what they have. We can probably start with introduction. So it says Ruby UI is a UI framework for Ruby developers built on top of Flex, Tailwind CSS, and Stimulus.js. So that sounds pretty cool. That's the stuff that I already use, except for I don't know what Flex is. So it looks like Flex is a Ruby gem for building fast, object-oriented HTML and SVG components. So I guess what happened was this guy found out about Flex and he started using it to create a component pack. And that is pretty cool. I want to learn more about Flex and how long this has been out for. It looks like it really hasn't been out for that long. There's only like 1,000 commits, and the longest history only goes back like 10 months. Although it could be older. I'm not really sure how to find out the full history of library. I mean, I'm sure we could, but let me check this out. So even on their website, it says Flex is still pre-release, and it's about stunning server-side rendered views in Ruby. Gives you pure Ruby that lets you write HTML. It's really fast. Rails integration. They also do streaming, which that's pretty interesting. Let me check out the handbook. So this would be something like a nav bar. You could do class nav. And this isn't really the most intuitive for me. But then you can use it in other places. And it almost feels like a React kind of feeling. I don't know if you guys feel that, just because the class and everything. And there's this view template method. So that's why I didn't like this initially. When I saw this, like, do you want to write all your HTML inside of a class? I didn't really like this just because it looks kind of confusing. But if you were building something like a UI library and you just wanted all your stuff to be fast, I can see why he did this. And then for the people who are using it, you don't even have to use Flex at all. I'm guessing, like, let me see. So setting it up is super easy. You just add the gem and then you can run the generator flex:install and then create the first component. So I might have to do this just to try it out and see what Flex is all about. And then you can basically use the components in other components. And it seems pretty popular. Okay, I can look at the full release history and see how long they've been working on this. They're on version 2 right now. So if we scroll all the way back to the last page, it looks like they started working on it in September 2022. So it's been a project for I guess not that long, but also kind of a good amount of time. It's definitely newer than Hotwire. It's newer than View Component, because I've been using View Component for a long time. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new Rails app, and I'll put this Ruby UI gem into it, and then see if I can build anything cool. So I'm just going to build a new Rails app. I'll just call this test flex, and I'll pass in the -c option for Tailwind, because I'm pretty sure they expect you to have Tailwind already installed. So I'll make sure that that is set up, but everything else should be fine. So I'm going to press enter. But I'm pretty excited to try out this library. I think it might be really helpful, especially if you guys don't want to just spend hours doing all the UI components, which I always do for some reason. But whenever I do it, I feel like I wish there was some sort of component library that could make it easier, stuff like Bootstrap. And that's kind of what people are doing. They're trying to make it more modern. So instead of just using Bootstrap, you could use like Stimulus.js. Although I think the Bootstrap stuff would still work fine with a Rails app, because plenty of people use Bootstrap. Anyways, now that we have the app generated, I'm going to cd into the directory, just like that. And we can test if this app is working by just starting the server and going over to localhost 3000 in the browser. And we see the Rails screen, which means that the app is working, and we can start coding on it. So what I usually do is I'm going to generate a page that we can style. And yeah, if you want to replace this Rails screen, actually see stuff in your Rails app, you need to set the root of the app. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to generate a new controller. I'm going to generate a pages controller, and then I'm going to add a home action. And if you want any more actions, like maybe about page or contact, you could add those in here too. So I'm just going to run this, and then what I'll do is I'll open this up in my code editor, which I'm using VS Code. Now that we have this open, I'll go over to config routes to RB. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this top route for the pages home, and instead I'm going to uncomment the root at the bottom and set this to that pages home action. Now I'm also going to rewrite these gets for the pages about and pages contact. So what I'll do is I'll remove the pages so that we're only going to go to /about in the URL, and I'll set this to go to pages and the about action. We can do the same thing for contact. I'll set this to go to the right action, and now we have some better URLs set up in our app. Then I'm going to go back to the browser and reload, and we should see something new. Well, we have to make sure that we have the server running. I'm going to restart this, and then I'll reload, and we should see something new. For a second the CSS wasn't showing up, but now we have it. So you see that the header is already kind of larger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right over to the app views, pages, and the home page, and I'm going to try to start customizing this a bit. So I'm going to change this H1 to just say hello world, and we can reload, and we'll see that our changes did update the page. So we know that that's working. And yeah, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to install the Ruby UI library. To do that, we can go back to the terminal. I'm just going to stop the server for a second, and I'll copy these commands over into the terminal. So I'll first copy this bundle add Ruby UI, so we can get that gem into our gem file. It's only going to put it in the development section. And it looks like right away when I do that, it installs a couple other libraries like Flex, Tailwind Merge, and a few other ones, interestingly. So now I'm going to run the install command by copying that and putting it in the terminal. And when I ran it, I got an error. So it looks like they renamed the command. Instead of Ruby_UI, it's RBUI, which that's weird because the documentation still says Ruby UI install. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the GitHub, and I'll see if they made a change or something. We can even look at the instructions on the README. It looks like the command should still be the same. So I don't know why that's causing an error. We can also see, oh, they got a bunch of contributors by now. That's pretty cool. They also have a good amount of stars. Oh look, right away the error. Someone already put up an issue. Could not find generator Ruby UI install. I'm gonna like this. And then some guy said it looks like it's fixed on main. So they must have had some sort of issue when they were pushing. And it also, it looks like nobody's been contributing to this for a while. Probably because it was the holidays and everything. But way back here in November, this guy did a commit, fix the Rails G Ruby. Wait, I don't even know what he did. So he changed it to accept Ruby and YML files inside of the gem spec. And that somehow fixes this generator. Oh. But maybe they never bundled the gem and pushed it, because the guy who created the gem, maybe he hasn't been active. So I don't see him anywhere in here for a while. Like, he started it, but then it looks like other people instantly they wanted this, and since it's open source, they started contributing. But that's tough if the guy who has access to the gem hasn't been active. And dude, look, he's barely pushed in 2024, 2025. That's not a good sign, but I remember I talked to this dude and he was cool. It looks like he got a lot of support from the community for building this open source gem. So I like that. It looks like they finally got everything worked out. Although now there's an issue. So what I'm going to do to fix this is, I guess what we do is we can set the gem to load up from this GitHub URL, and we can use the main branch, and we should get all those new changes. So to do that, I'm going to go over to our, first I'm going to go in the code editor, and I'm going to go over to the gem file, and I'll look for wherever that Ruby UI is. So it's right here, and it looks like for some reason they're targeting this one pre-alpha, which we don't even know when that was released at all. I mean, actually, I could look that up. Let's go to rubygems.org, and I'll look up ruby_UI. And if we click on this, it was released on November. It's only had like 600 downloads. So this is a relatively new gem, and it is still pushed by, well, the author is George, who's the creator of the Flex UI, Ruby UI. So I guess they renamed it to Ruby UI for whatever reason, even though it's still using Flex. I wonder if they got a copyright. That would be hilarious, because they did that to me when I did Tailwind Genius. The guy from Tailwind reached out and tried to take down my site and everything. It looks like there's two owners. This guy Seth and this guy Serdays. And he has a lot of downloads on another gem, which I guess is some like Spanish gem from a while ago. That's interesting. So with this gem, it doesn't really work. At least not for me. But if we pull down from this URL, it should work. So what I'll do is I'll delete this version. And then I'm going to set the git. Or do I set GitHub? And I'll pass in the path to the GitHub URL. And then we can set the branch to main. And hopefully this should pull down the latest changes for the Ruby UI gem. Okay, so now that we have the gem set to pull from the GitHub repo, I'm going to try to run bundle again. Oh, and right away it says it's fetching from the GitHub repo. So that's fire. And it's using one beta instead of one pre-alpha. So it is a newer version. So now that we have that set up, we should be able to go back and run this command again to set up Ruby UI. And hey, it looks like it's working. So it's fetching Flex right now. It's doing a Flex install. It's set up the Tailwind config.js, which I feel like I already had. And oh, we're getting a conflict for Tailwind. So I'll just say yes. I guess you can override because I don't really care. And cool, just like that, we got everything set up. So that's pretty awesome. I'm gonna start the server again. And we really don't have anything to test with. If we go back to our page, it's just really boring. But now we should be able to look around the Ruby UI site and try any of these components. So let's try to find one that looks cool. They have stuff for everything. So anything that we need, like drop down menus, we're probably gonna want to do that. I was hoping they would have something for like a nav bar or something simple, but I guess this component library is more focused on things that you would need in your app that you wouldn't want to build yourself, which usually I would build like all of this stuff. So maybe let's just try to grab a card. Maybe that will be simple. So we have a card with the image, card with full width image, and account balance. So to install it, you have to run this Rails G command for the card. So that's kind of interesting. You have to install each command like that, and then you can use it with something like this, which, whoa, that's a lot of code. Right away, I don't really like how much code this is. This is what, like 20 lines of code for this small component? I almost would rather a partial. But okay, let's try this out. I'm gonna run the component install command for card, which I also don't like how I have to do this, but okay. And that adds some components to my component library. I guess because they're expecting that I might want to just use Flex without using Ruby UI, which I definitely would not. And if you look at what we're actually getting, it's like it's not anything. There's a couple classes inside of each thing in the main card. And is there actually a view component, like a view template? I don't think there is. So I don't know why there's even this view template line. But this is what it would look like to get a card like this. I'm gonna copy this. And let's go over to our homepage. And whoa, wait, I can't even render this. Now I'm confused. How do I render it on the page? So that's one confusing thing. Right away, I don't know how to use this card. Maybe I have to put it inside of a helper. We go over to app helpers and just create a def card. Because then we could actually use Ruby inside of here. But I mean, I guess I don't see why this wouldn't work. And then we could just use embedded Ruby to call that card method. And let's reload. Oh, and I have to make sure I have the server running, of course. Right away, I get an error, undefined method card. So I guess it doesn't work in the helpers. Okay. So I think the only way to figure out how to use this is to look up the Flex library and then see how they render components. So how do they use it with Rails? Come on. Trying to figure this out. Your first component. Oh, look at that. That's interesting. So you can do layout false and then render a view. But what if I don't have a view? What if I don't use Flex UI? Or what if I don't use Flex library? I don't want to have to figure out how to render a view just to pass in some component. So this is crazy already. I don't think I like this. But maybe if you like using Flex, you would know how to use the Ruby UI library. But I actually have no idea how to render this. Alright, so the next UI library that I found is called Rails Designer. And I actually found it from one of their articles where they were comparing a couple different component libraries. And then they kind of just said, like, if you want to try our website, we have a bunch too. And right away it says it's built with Vue Component, Tailwind CSS, and enhanced with Hotwire. So that actually sounds perfect for what I'm looking for. And I've never even heard of this website before too. So we have Rails Designer. I like the vibe out here. They have this whole gradient and some cool text. And yeah, they do consultancy, Rails UI components library. This is kind of like just the stuff that I was thinking about doing. And I might possibly still make my own UI library. But it's cool to check out these guys and see what they've done. They have this Rails UI audit. So you can purchase a one-time payment and they'll give you an audit on your code base, which that's pretty interesting. This almost sounds like something you could do with AI, in my opinion. I might even build a service that does this. But it says for $300, it returns up to 10 key UI improvements, and it focuses on highest impact changes and a written report with annotated screenshots. So guys, we could totally build this too, but I wonder how many people they have purchasing this. I bet you it's a lot, like $600 for an audit with a $300 code, so it comes out to $300. Wow. I like that. Oh, because it's 50% off launch discount. Who's behind this? It's some guy who... He launched his first successful SaaS, he sold it, built other SaaS, and then with Rails Designer, launched in early 2024. He just did this so he can build all this stuff faster. And he released it as a for sale product. So what I was looking at is the components library page. And right away you can click on the components and see what they look like, which I think is cool. Because I can see if I actually want to buy the UI library. And already I think everything looks good. I mean, I'm just looking at accordions right now, but these are cool. They even have like the number on the side. Let me check out avatars. So that looks, you know, cool. It's kind of just normal stuff that you'd expect. But they even have one like an avatar stack with the remaining count, which that could be helpful. You wouldn't have to code any of this, because think about how fast this would make your development. If you had a whole component library, whenever you go to build a feature like, hey, we need an avatar stack with the remaining count, you just drop in a one-liner and it should work. Although hopefully it is a one-liner. I haven't seen the code. What if you get to the code and it's like 20 lines of code for this, like we had that experience with the Ruby UI library? Then I probably wouldn't be happy. So they don't even have any examples that are free, which I think they could have done that. At least have like one of them that's free that shows what the code looks like. But they just put all of them behind the paywall. By the way, I don't even know how much it costs, so I'm going to look at that after. But we have badges, which I mean, this is normal stuff, you know. It's not that crazy. We have copy to clipboard. Alright, what is this? Click me. This doesn't look like something that I would pay for. But then we have this component with button. But it says JavaScript is disabled for the preview, which I don't know why they would do that. Also, one thing I was thinking is some guy on my channel said if you right click, you can see the code and just copy it. I want to see if that's true. Okay, yeah. No, yeah, you can totally see all the code. That's funny. So the component that they are hiding, they're not really hiding it, because you could just say edit as HTML. Copy. probably the owner of the website is going to see this video, but hey, if you do, what I would recommend is basically just jumbling the classes up, although people could try to use AI to get around it. But honestly, you probably don't even care about this. That's why you didn't try to do anything to protect people from just copying the HTML. Because most people, like for me for a while, I would just think if I see the component and it says that there's not a copy button, I'm gonna think that I can't really get it. But a lot of you guys are a bit smarter. But that does work. I'm gonna go and test this out in my app without paying for the library. Okay. So I'm gonna do Rails new test. I forgot what it's called. Rails designer. So I'm gonna say R designer, and it should have Tailwind CSS installed. So we'll do the -c Tailwind and get this new app set up. The reason why I don't want to use it in the old app is just because we already had Flex and that stuff was kind of weird. I want to just create a whole new app. But it'll basically be the same thing. I'm just going to generate the app, and then we're going to create a home page that we can style. At least for now, I'm just going to keep it simple since it's just UI stuff. So we're going to come in here immediately. I'll do Rails G controller pages home. And then we'll open up the code in the code editor. And I'm going to go over to config routes to RB, and I'll delete the get for pages/home, and instead I'm going to set it for the root. Go to the pages and the home action. There we go. Now, if we start the server with bin/dev and go over to localhost 3000, we'll see that we have the home page right here. So now I'm going to try to add in this Tailwind code. Oh, well, one thing is you won't see the view component code. You'll only get the result of the Tailwind. So that's one thing. I really want to see what the view component code looks like, because if it's really slim, then I think I would probably buy something like this. Just because I personally like view component, and I've been wanting to create a library like that. Maybe I will. Anyways, since I have the HTML copied right here, I'm going to go over to the app views pages home, and I'll just drop it in right here. Whoa, it's a lot of HTML. It's not formatted. So that's one thing that's annoying, but I'm sure we could fix that. If I reload, we get exactly the code, although the styling isn't great. But I'm sure we could look at this and see what's happening. Or you know what I'll do? I'm gonna go to ChatGPT and ask them to format this. Format this component. And it should get all of the formatting right. Because AI is pretty good at taking something that you give it and then performing a task and returning all the same information. I haven't really had too many problems with it. As long as as long as you have like a pretty good model running. Although I feel like even a model that doesn't have that many parameter sets, like a low level model, I've been experimenting with those recently. I feel like they could still handle tasks like this. So I drop it back in and it's formatted. It's way better now. If we reload, still looks exactly the same. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here, and I know there's this flex class on the whole page, so that's kind of messing it up. So what I'll do is I'll go over to the layouts application, and instead of saying flex, I'll add flex call so that we can have items like stacking on top of each other instead of next to each other. And then if I click stuff, it doesn't even, break. And I want to see, does that look exactly the same as the UI over here? It doesn't really. This one had more padding, honestly. For some reason, this, like the padding on each item is kind of messed up. So it's possible that they had some custom styling that was doing that didn't get included. But yeah, that was kind of just a hack way to get it. I don't think I'm actually going to use this component. But it's cool that you can get it even though there's not a copy button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the components library, and I want to check out some more components just because it's cool. They have nav bars, and I think these are alright. They honestly, in my opinion, these all look very similar to Tailwind UI or like any other UI software, because I mean most websites look pretty similar. Like these aren't unique. It's just a list of items in a nav bar. But if you're trying to build something and you didn't want to have to even think about, you know, styling it to this amount, this could be pretty cool. And what we can do is we can right click and probably grab this component for the nav bar if we wanted to. Here we go. Although we should grab the whole nav. So what I'll do is I'll edit as HTML. We'll copy that thing. We'll go back into here, and I'm going to add the nav bar inside of the application. We'll render it at the top of the body as a partial. I'm going to render layout/nav bar. And then I'll go over to the views layouts folder and create a new file called _navbar.html.erb. And I'm going to drop this code in. And right away, the formatting got all messed up when I copied it. So I might ask ChatGPT to fix this formatting for me. That is pretty helpful. Although I'm sure there's a VS Code extension I could install that would automatically do that too. It's such a simple task. Believe it or not, I used to like manually fix my formatting in my files, and that's just like it's the worst use of time. I'm gonna go back, drop this in, and the formatting is way better already. If we reload, oh wow, doesn't really look the same. I wonder if this is what it would look like though. We didn't get the blue class, so maybe he does have some custom classes that he uses to make sure that the styling doesn't work. Although the way that the avatar is way on the right is kind of like how it is here, and on a big screen it kind of looks like, whoa. I would almost wish that the items would be centered a little bit. So I feel like this almost is a preview of what it would feel like in your app, and I don't really like it. You know what, I'm gonna get rid of that nav bar. Yeah, I don't know about this component library, although it's a good idea. I think I would love to do one of these too. There's a time zone updater, which I guess doesn't even have it. It just says like a preview of what it does. We have image previews. So, oh, for drop zone. That's actually pretty cool, although it's not working. It's not even updating this because it says JavaScript is disabled. Bro, I would do a way better component library than this. Oh yeah, look, integrations task div. I like that. Feeds. There's really only one of them for feeds. Is there anything like a home page? They don't even have that. They don't have just like a overall page, or maybe like splash page, landing page section, because those are really helpful for new apps. But still, this is a great idea. I like the website. It looks pretty nice. And whoa, look, they have monthly retainer packages. For 10 hours a month, it's $2,000. 40 hours a month, it's $5,000. Okay. So this guy's really taking it serious. I gotta do this too. I know I gotta set up all that stuff. So we do monthly retainer, fractional product engineer. People actually like to sign up for this, so I think that I would do this. Because instead of working full time where you're charging them like $12,000 a month, you could just have someone pay you $2,000 and they can get you to work on their app for like you know, a couple hours a month. I don't think I would even set a limit like 10 hours. That sounds like a lot. But I think adding a monthly retainer just for people who want to say that I'm on the team and I help them out with stuff, that's a great idea. So what is this? Add invite to Rails 8 authentication. Oh, so they have a tutorial. That's pretty cool. They have SaaS tutorials. I like that. All right, so yeah, shout out to this guy, Rails Designer. He has a really cool website. If I was looking for something, I mean, I probably would sign up and give this a try. Let me see how. Can I sign up right now? So I have to go back to the components library, click on the thing, click get this component. And now we get to the pricing. Which, okay, this is not bad at all. $100 one-time payment, and you get access to the entire library. And it updates for 12 months. That's interesting. So after 12 months, do you just get the old library? You might roll out like versions of libraries or something. That's an interesting idea. And then we have this one, which is $300. You can create 5 projects. So what does that mean, project? He says 1 project. Does that mean I can only build 1 website with his components and there's like a legal thing involved? Because that'd be crazy. I'm not paying $100 if I can only use it for 1 website, or else he's gonna like come after me. Let's see. Can I upgrade for more projects? Sure. Just reach out and I'll send you a discount code to cover the price difference. Okay. Got a license terms? Certainly. Check out the lawyer speak one here. What? Dude, a license agreement. So yeah, he says 1 production live site and unlimited development sites. Each additional site using the software requires an additional purchase license. This guy's crazy, dude. Does he make you sign this contract too? And then you can have this one for 5 production sites. Or you can get Infinity, which is unlimited production sites. How much was Infinity? $600 one time? So it almost feels like he's holding me hostage. He's basically saying if I sign up for his program, he's probably going to make me accept some terms that says I can only use it for 1 website. But if I don't sign up, I can just go right click, inspect, and copy the component, and I don't have any legal bindings. So that's not really incentive for me to purchase this anymore. Because look, he says, unless you have been granted prior written consent, you may not reproduce, distribute, or transfer the software, sell, rent, grant rights. But look, this is only if you accept this. I can read this, and that's not my consent. So yeah, this is crazy, bro. I would have asked ChatGPT for something. And look, so then this is simplified, where he's like, you can do this, you cannot share it with your friends or anything. Use it for your team. Use the components to produce anything that may be deemed by Rails Designer to be competitive with the business of Rails Designer. This guy's crazy, dude. If I released a software like this, I would not want to make it any bad vibes. And this guy has a ton of bad vibes on his site, dude. And like I'm saying, you guys can just copy the components, not accept any contract, and save yourself hundreds of dollars. But at this point, do I even want to use a component made by this type of guy? I don't know. They do have a chatbot section. They have chats, and I thought the chat UI, this could be helpful if you didn't want to spend the time working on chats. I'm gonna see if I can copy this too. Looks like I can. Well, it's a li, so I'm gonna have to switch that to a div. Wait, I need to get this formatted too. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. All right, here we go. Whoa, this has been a crazy rabbit hole, but that's something that you got to learn before you guys put your information in and accept someone's contracts. You actually should read what it says, and you should ask ChatGPT about what the contract says. So I might make a helper, like a Chrome extension or something that checks all of the terms of services and then tells you exactly why you might not want to sign up. Because I know on my sites, I would never put anything crazy like that, where I'm trying to say that you can only use a certain amount of websites or something. Because I would want to release a bunch of websites. Wait, it looks like, did ChatGPT have a problem putting this in? Okay, I'm just gonna not format it, and I'm gonna change the li to a div. Go back, and yo, we have a chat bot. All we have to do is switch out the images. Were those images smaller? Okay, I think, yeah, if we switch the image out, let me do that right now. So I'm gonna go to Unsplash. That's where I usually get all of my free components. Or not free components. That's where I get all my free images. So let's go. Got this image. I'm gonna drop it in the assets images folder. I'm gonna rename it, and then we're gonna look for the image tag. Actually, we can look for source. So right here, trying to load up this image. So I'm gonna copy wherever we're doing that, and I'm gonna switch this out for asset URL. That's usually what I use if I'm not using just an image tag, and then I'll put in the path to, or really just the file name of the image. We can reload, and we get that showing up, although the size is a little bit different than what I saw on the component over here. I think the reason is I might just have to have width full, height full. There we go. That fixed, although since we're doing this in multiple places, I kind of have to just copy this and do it in all the places. Width full, height full. Reload. Oh, and now the image has fixed. So that looks pretty good. I think it looks exactly the same as over here on this site. And then if I want to change the other image, we're going to find that other URL, which is right here. And we'll do that same asset URL. And we could plop in the link to the image. Do this guy. He'll be the second person in the chat. Shout out to him. We'll rename this, and we'll go and we'll, right here in the asset URL, the empty one, we're gonna put the link to his file name. Reload, and boom, we got the chat component in our app without signing a contract, without paying money. That's just a little tip, although don't say that you learned it here. Now I'm going to remove this link to get the component, because let's try to click it. What does it do now? It tries to bring us to pricing. Well, too bad. We don't have a pricing page on my site. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll just go to this A tag and I'll delete it. Reload. And boom, just like that, you have yourself a chat page. You might want to remove this other link. So let's get rid of this whole thing. Reload. Boom. Now we have a chat. The next thing we probably want is a form. So I wonder if this guy has a form component that we can use. He does have form elements. So if we look at, oh, text area auto grow. Oh, look. It doesn't work because he says JavaScript is disabled. But that's so easy to add. I'm probably gonna just make my own component pack after seeing all this. What else is there though? That's it. There's no forms or anything. So I guess that's not gonna be helpful. But if we wanted to add in a form, I could show you how to do that. It should be pretty easy. Although this code formatting is really bad. I'm gonna try to fix that again. Let's go, ChatGPT. It's funny he's like talking about all this stuff too. That's probably what I would do too. But imagine if you were scraping the site, you could learn all about whatever this dude is talking about. That's something you can actually do on my website, every LLM. If you sign up here, you can create a training. So I'll do that right now. I'll create a training for Ruby Designer. Or wait, was that even what it was? Or no, Rails Designer. Okay, it doesn't really matter. I'll put this in and I'm gonna scrape his whole site using my tool every-LLM. If you guys want to sign up, you can. But it can be really fun because what it's going to do is it's going to go through, look at all the pages, get the content, and then create a trainable model that we can chat with. And we might be able to ask the model how to use his components without even paying for a membership or anything. So I'm just going to let this go and train, read all the content, and I'll be back. Alright, so now that I have this formatting from ChatGPT, I'm going to go over to the code and I'll replace all of this code with the formatted code, which, whoa, it's so much more now once you format it. Looks like a crazy amount of stuff because of all those messages. But we could totally like move these into partials, or even if you use view component, you could move like each list item into a view component really easily. We might even want to do these because these are definitely duplicated a lot. But anyways, I was going to show you how you could add something like a chat form at the bottom. And it's actually so easy. All you'd have to do is add form width. And for the URL, I'm just going to use the # as a temporary placeholder. And then we'll do a do. And we'll pass in form as the keyword that we're going to use. Now we can add stuff like form label. And this is already built into Rails, by the way. If you're not familiar with Rails, you get all these helpers in the box for creating forms. You can do like a label. We can also do a text area. And it's not actually a name, it would be more like the body, because this is a chat. And then if we wanted to have the submit, we can write form.submit. Reload. And we should have a form, although it's showing up on the right side. And obviously the styling needs to be improved. If I want it to show up at the bottom, I think we have to change whatever the class is on this top level div, which right now it's all of these classes. So it's flex, flex row. I definitely want to change that to flex call. And now we have the form at the bottom. So I guess in the chat, we probably wouldn't even have a label for like body. We would just have a text area. So I'm going to go back to the bottom. We can probably remove body. And then I'm going to add a div to wrap these elements. And I'll just say flex justify between. So we can have the submit on the right side. At least just for now, although I'm probably going to change this up. And then for the text area, we can add a class. Let's make sure that the text is able to be seen by making it dark. We can also make it larger. We can say width full, rounded large. We can also add a background if we want to. Maybe like a slightly darker background so we can see it. And oh, we got some errors, I guess. Oh, because I used the Ruby end instead of the div end. That's a mistake. Whoops. And we reload. Oh, we do get a nice looking chat box. And I might even add some padding. And add like P1. Isn't this cool? We already have a chat and a chat form. Although this is the submit button. Not great. So if you wanted to add an icon, which actually one thing I think I liked that they had was, wait, was it not this site? There was some site that had, oh, it was called Tailkit. I didn't even review Tailkit. Let's go back to Tailkit, which might even be way chiller than that other site. So we come here, they also have a nice looking website, but they have all this stuff like free lifetime updates, 5 tools. I don't think they say anything about a limit, although I'm not sure. If they say there's a limit, then it's kind of like, man, that's crazy. Free lifetime updates. But look, what they have is crazy. They have all these free resources. If you go here, first of all, free Tailwind components. What? That's fire. So right away, they're giving away free stuff, which is a ton of stuff. Look at all this. No way. This is free? Because look, they give the code right there. No way, dude. I'm going to have to start using this. Because look at that sign-in page for free. This looks fire. Although, actually, this is a checkout page. No way. This is crazy. Okay, Tailkit seems like the best component. And look, they even say, yes, these are free Tailwind components. And if you think about it, if they have components like this, think about how good the components that they don't have are. The only really problem is like this stuff with JavaScript. We're gonna have to override that in our app, which is always annoying. So if there was a component pack that already had like Stimulus.js integrations, that would be cool. I like to use Stimulus. Although actually, if it's just inline JavaScript, it's not that bad, but then yeah. Also, if it was in a view component combined with a Stimulus controller, that's the thing that I know is popular. A lot of companies do that. And I need to start doing that myself and then probably create a component library. So if we look at what's included, they have over 580 components, 8 templates. So that's a template is a fully completed website with all of the pages. So if we look at what they have, I mean, yeah, it's something like this basically. Oh, here we go. FinBank. So banking dashboard. That's cool. A chat UI, AI chat dashboard. CRM. SaaS marketing website. Blogging website. Oh, by the way, these are all just the front end Tailwind code. So this doesn't even include like the back end at all, of course. So you're still gonna have to make all of this work with your app, but it's cool that you could get one of these and use this in your app without writing any front end code. Because front end code is kind of exhausting. They also say Tailkit's web application. Get to preview all available components and copy them with a single click. Oh, that's cool. So you get to preview them live and like click around the site. That's pretty sick. They even have an affiliate program. So if I start getting affiliate links off of this, I can make money. If I get 100 sales, they give me 4,000 bucks. Let's see how much getting access is. So for a developer, for a single personal project is $80 one time. Again, dude, again with a single project. But for $200, you get unlimited personal, commercial, and open source projects. That's not bad at all. But I really don't like this one project thing. Because is he gonna come after me if I try to make 2 projects? And then for team, you get, I guess, something You get an unlimited design service for 30 days. And you get a team of up to 10 people. So I guess you can invite other users to Tailkit and they get access to the whole product, which that's a pretty great deal for a one-time payment. That's an interesting business model. So he's just thinking one time. A lot of people like one-time payments. This is crazy. We've already scraped 140 plus different sites or different pages on their site. So I'm pretty sure it could just keep going and capture the whole site. But I'm going to stop it and then try to chat with the agent and see what I can get back from all this training. Alright, so I'm going to ask to give me a button component in Tailwind CSS. I just want to see what it gets back if it uses all of its training that it's acquired. Here's an example of a basic button. Whoa, that's cool. It almost rendered for a second. Oh, I actually would have liked it if it rendered, but then we wouldn't be able to see the HTML. Oh, that was crazy. It almost rendered again. So that does look like a basic button. So let me try to ask about something from his site, like from his component library. Maybe a modal. Give me the code for a Tailwind CSS modal. Alright, let's see. I wonder what else the chat would know about. Maybe I'll just ask it about Rails Designer. What is Rails Designer? That was weird. That was so weird. Wait. Something just happened on the page. But look, it does know all about Rails Designer. Can you give me the code for a component from Rails Designer? I want to see if it can get that. No. But it does know about Rails Designer. It just doesn't have any of the code. It says browse the open source repository. I really doubt they have one. Let me look it up. Wait, they do have a GitHub profile. And they have some repositories. Okay, that's cool. Rails icons. Add any icon library to a Rails app. That sounds pretty cool. So you can add hero icons. And then you can use it in the view. Oh, that looks pretty sweet. I might have to try that. We have Rails Hotwire development tool. What is this? So it helps you with Rails and Hotwire development. I don't get it. What can it do? Okay, I really don't get it. And we have Rails Designer. So they do have a whole GitHub, but it's a dummy gem to guide lost users to the actual Rails Designer private gem. So to get the private gem, you have to purchase the membership. And I guess, okay.